On Capitol Hill, there are predictions that a vote on health care could be 2 weeks away, although the Senate will be back in action this week. Central Ohio Democrat Congresswoman Beatty says Republicans should be reaching out to her party and holding hearings on health care. It's one of the things we talked about when I sat down with her this week. Well, it's impossible to talk about what's going on in Washington without focusing first on health care. Are you optimistic that the Senate can come up with a plan that you can live with?
Well, right now, the plan has been something that's been developed in secret. In secrecy, you haven't had the input from the medical community. You have the American Hospitalization Association against it. You have Democrat and Republicans against it. He couldn't get enough votes in the Senate before we left. The original date was going to be before July 1st. We were going to have a bill. You had two strong Republican senators at first, picked up momentum that we had 4 Republican senators, and clearly we weren't going to have the vote, and then we had 2 more senators to get on board. Right now, there's not enough synergy or energy to do it because you're talking about gutting Medicaid. 22 million people, reducing the budget in Trump's plan by almost $800 billion. Think about all the things we had gained through President Obama. We have even had President Trump, when he was campaigning, to say we wouldn't take 26-year-olds off their parents' insurance. We wouldn't let having a pre-existing condition, you and I could be in jeopardy simply by being females under what they're doing now. So you have a president who's going back and forth. No wonder Republican and Democrat senators are saying we're not supporting this.
Rob Portman came out against it after the vote last week.
Yes.
Do you anticipate, after there was clear that there wasn't enough Republicans on board for
We call that testing the wind sometimes.
Do you anticipate that he will stay in opposition to the plan because of the Medicaid factor?
Well, here's what I'm hoping. And here's what I would say to Senator Portman. Stand up for what's right for Ohioans and America. Since you came out as someone who was in opposition, if we go back next week and there's a vote, and clearly it's not an open vote where we've had hearings and where Democrats and Republicans are sitting down to fix those things, the health care plan we have, it's not perfect, but it's not something that we should be repealing and then talking about in a later date. Trust me, that's like me saying to someone, give me all the money in your bank account. And then I'm going to tell you 6 months from now what I'm going to do with it or how much money I'm going to give you back. We can't gamble with hardworking Americans' health care.
The president this week is going to be at the G20 summit, and he's meeting with foreign leaders. How his foreign policy has been somewhat murky because of his position changes, because of the tweeting, because of what he says about foreign leaders. How do you hope he's accepted, and how do you anticipate this is going to go for him?
Well, let me start with anticipation. I think it's clear of what he's been doing in the build-up to being there, that we're not seeing him stopping with 140-character tweets. He's embarrassing to America. He's embarrassing to the 20 highest, most powerful country leaders. And when you look at their rating of him, I mean, you have, let's take Merkel, for example. You have her saying, he's picking winners or losers. We should be looking for a win-win. He should be sitting down with a plan. In his own tweet, he said, I'm going to wing it. I mean, this goes back whether it's health care, whether it's him being in the meetings and the next day, as a matter of fact, or 2, he's winging everything. Those leaders are not going to come winging it. It took Republicans 7 years they've been working on health care. This is an annual convention that we do every year. And yet our president is saying he's going to wing it. 16 days, he introduces a health care bill, and he says, oh, wow, it's complicated. What he's going to be facing in Germany is very complicated. When we're talking about all the issues that we have with Russia, with China, with South Korea, I mean, how can he be in a position now to say, I'm going to wing it? It's embarrassing, and I think he's going to really expose his hand that those world leaders are not going to embrace him.
Before I let you go, I know you've been involved in STEM movements, especially for young women. And I understand that you are part of a new movement to get more, especially minority women, involved in STEM programs.
I am so excited about this. We have a new bill that's 21st century STEM for girls and for underrepresented students. And part of this, I'm very proud to say, the General Motors female CEO has expressed to us that there are going to be some 8.6 million jobs in STEM by 2018, 2020. So we want to have this legislation that basically is education and awareness, getting them ready for their future.
Still to come, the story that